What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
The year, 1888. The place, London's East End. Dead and mutilated bodies are popping up all over, from Stamford to Whitechapel. Jack the Ripper is leaving his mark, and the city's on edge. Yvonne Mason is back with a tale of murder and millinery. The Rhodes Hat Factory is booming while the body count rises. Why now? How are these hats connected? Has the Hatter gone mad? Mad Hatter from Yvonne Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday night in a wet, rainy, dark, dreary, cold, well, maybe not cold, South Florida. And this is Off the Chain. I am your host, Yvonne Mason. And, of course, that was a piece of shameless promotion. I spared y'all that for quite a while. That is my book, The Mad Hatter, and it was created by my friend Kris Dunham, who is an excellent voiceover person. He knows how to make my books come alive. And if you haven't read The Mad Hatter and you love historical fiction, go and get it. And, yeah, I'm going to plug it tonight because that was one of the most fun books I have ever written. It is historical fiction, and it has a twist to it. So y'all all know me, how my mind works. Now, tonight, I have to say, once again, you as my guest and as my listeners have just blown me out of the water. Y'all all know that I've been away for a while due to health reasons with my husband, but we're back now. And we're coming back with a vengeance. We are bringing on guests that have never been on before and will come on again. And my guest tonight is one of those, artist Kris Keepler. But before I introduce her, I have to bring you guys up to speed since I didn't do that last night. Just on this show, and I have to give a shout out to Australia because our listeners from down under, 97% of the listening audience just for this show on Blog Talk. We are 52,898 listeners. Now, that's me being away from the mic for almost 3 weeks. 52,898 listeners just on the show. When you add all the podcasts that this thing shows up on, which is iTunes, YouTube, FM radio, FM.com, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Podcast Garden, and Podcast.com, we are at 67,510 listeners. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that's in 70-plus countries. I am so grateful. I'm grateful for my guest. I'm grateful for your patience. I'm grateful for y'all continually listening in the archives, the live show, and spreading the news, because I'm always looking for guests. Y'all know that. I don't get enough of introducing people to my world because it is our world. So I thank y'all all for that. Being said, tonight's guest is one funny woman. Now, I went and y'all all know that I deep dive my guest when I go searching for them because I like to pull out things that most people don't ask or search for. And I don't ask the usual questions because I like to surprise my guest. Her name is Kris Keepler, and she is a voice-over artist. That's what I call her. But she is also a narrator, an actor, a writer, a voice actor, and a funny story junkie. And when I say a funny story junkie, ladies and gentlemen, she is absolutely off the charts. She has a video called Does This Happen to You series on, I'm going to mispronounce it, I know, Chinillo for a Giggle. or you can listen to the samples of the 31 audiobooks narrated on Audible. She also narrates books, ladies and gentlemen. So my author friends out there, you're looking for a narrator for your book, I highly recommend this woman. And the reason is she has impersonated a cat, a prince, a princess, a witch, a madwoman, and a president just with her voice. Ladies and gentlemen, I can barely imitate myself, much less all of those wonderful voices. She loves to narrate funny stories, and I'm going to tell you, it comes through. I've seen it. So tune into our podcast as this happened to you for short stories about the most bizarre ways to get through your day. And some of the most bizarre things that happen to us turn out to be really funny. So without further ado, welcome, Miss Kris. Thank you so much for the privilege of coming on this show. It is a privilege to me and an honor to me that you are on the show, and I thank you for it.
Oh, Yvonne, thanks so much. I really appreciate you having me.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, when I read your bio and I looked over everything that you've done, I'm going, yeah, this woman could do stand-up big time in a huge auditorium because you're seriously funny. You would just fall down, tear-rolling, side-slapping funny. And what I want to know, before we talk about the funny part,
yes.
Have you always been funny? Do you always see the humorous side of things, or was this something that you learned as you grew up? As a child, were you a prankster? How did you get here?
Well, growing up, I was pretty serious, but there was a lot of teasing in our household. So that's how originally, I sort of got involved with comedy was, the teasing. We teased each other a lot and laughed about it.
Did you pull practical jokes on each other as well?
No, not so much practical jokes. Just lighthearted teasing about stuff, that was going on. So, and we had. I was an only child, but we had lots of animals. We had cats, and we had horses, and we had dogs, and so there was always something, funny happening with one of the horses or the cats, or once one of the cats dropped a dead mouse in my mother's work boot.
I see a story there. And what was the reaction for that one? He just brought her a gift.
Yeah, she came in there and she was cussing. That darn cat. Where was the mouse?
And of course, Kris was over in the corner just rolling on the floor, I guess.
Oh yeah, we thought it was hilarious, and she laughed about it too after getting over the, shock.
Well, the cat was just bringing her a present.
Yeah.
Look at I can see the cat's feeling here. Look, I'm doing my job. I'm showing you the fruits of my labor. Why are you getting mad at me?
Yeah.
So on this farm, for lack of a better expression for it, is this where you learned? Is this where you learned how to imitate the animals?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's definitely where I have a real. I love animals, and I love to interact with them, and I've always found them interesting, how they think, what they do. I've got 2 dogs now that, I write funny things about because they're 2 funny characters.
Okay, well let's do this. If let's set the stage for our audience, because I want them to get a taste of the hilarity of Kris Keepler. I'm going to set the stage, and the stage is this. There is a scene, and in this scene, are, you pick the animals of your choice, and they're having a conversation about the barn cat that has dropped the mouse in its slave. And cats have slaves; they don't have owners. Dogs have owners. Cats have slaves.
Yeah.
In its slave's work boot, and the slave's reaction. And what these animals are thinking about the idiocy of this two-legged human getting all pissy because the cat's proud of itself.
Oh yeah.
So how would you do that? How would you set that up? And if you can do it on the spur of the moment, because we didn't talk about this before, how would you bring this to fruition for someone that you're in front of? How would you have that conversation as the animals in the barn, if you can do it?
The animals in the barn. Well, the cat's quite a haughty creature, and she's just totally put out that she went to all this work. All this work, and that human never appreciates her, ever appreciates her. And of course the dog is like, whoa, yeah, what do you mean? I love my human. She loves me. If you weren't so stuck up, there wouldn't be a problem.
That is good. That is really good. And I can see this conversation between this cat and this dog, and this cat walking around with her nose in the air, and that, how they'll twitch their tail when they're aggravated.
Oh, yeah.
And side glance at you as if to say, really, you really did not appreciate my gift. See if I go and hunt a mouse for you again.
Yeah. Well, I had great fun. Just a few months ago, I completed a children's book, and it's called A to Z Animals. It's an audio book, and I had to provide a different voice for each animal. There's about 10 different animals that talk.
Wow.
And so it was really fun, but it's like, oh my gosh, what does an anteater sound like? And I'm like, oh yeah, it has a really long tongue, so it talks like this. Yeah.
That is great. I love it. Because anteaters don't make any noise. They just
no, but you have to. That was a really fun challenge to give. That was one of the harder ones, the anteater.
Now, in your bio, you say that you use humor with business. How do you use humor with business? Because I know you do a lot of things with companies. How do you show businesses that it's okay to laugh? Because most businesses are straight-laced and serious all the time.
I know, and the blogs you read are just, oh my gosh, it's,
boring.
You don't want to put your clients to sleep, in the first two sentences. So that's what I do is, well, how do you, I usually, before I start into the more serious aspects of the blog about the business, I write a little story that sort of segues into the more serious, such as I did a blog about an app, a grammar app. And so what came to mind was the fact that I never learned grammar very well because my 8th grade teacher was a stand-up comic. And that's what we loved him. It was a fun class to be in, but I didn't learn any grammar. All I heard was jokes.
That's amazing.
So it's like, well, maybe your business people had an 8th grade teacher like I did, and they did. So that's the kind of segues that, little funny stories like that, or the funny business stories that I've run into, because I did have a business career. I was in purchasing for 20 years, so I had lots of funny stories from that. So I often use some, funny business stories segue into the more serious part. So it engages, the customer up front rather than putting them to sleep.
And I've read some business blogs and some business mission statements and sat through some business meetings in my tenure in corporate America, and I'm thinking, my word, has my watch stopped? Is time standing still? What is going on with these people?
Yeah.
And I really love the one that stands up and says the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and you're going, I got it for the first 10 times you said it. Stop repeating yourself. Move on to something else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If this is all you got, you're wasting my time.
Yep.
So how has the business community responded to the way that you present their business? Because like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never worked in corporate America, that is some of the most straight-laced people I've ever dealt with in my life. Their sense of humor is about as funny as a corpse. Well, I don't know. A corpse can be pretty funny, though.
Actually, it's been received pretty well. For the most part, man, I've written about household piping.
Oh, my word. How
made that interesting.
Yeah, well, okay. All things toilets? I don't know.
I've written about homecoming, planning homecoming, corporate holiday parties. That was for a DJ who wanted to add a little zing to his blog. I write about strategic sourcing. Of course, that's where I used to work. I worked in manufacturing, strategic sourcing, and all those. Yeah, it's been actually very well received.
Well, do you think that the dynamic and the attitude of businesses has changed their course and their way of thinking, and that it doesn't have to be stagnant and somber and funeralistic in order to be successful, that people have to have a sense of humor because you're dealing with humans?
Yeah, and you're going to attract clients based on, the content you're putting out. So if you're putting out stuff that's off-putting, you're not exactly going to, attract customers. So, yeah.
And that brings to mind, now, ladies and gentlemen, I told y'all I had seen one of her videos. And while Kris was doing this video, and because I am an author and I'm very visual, I'm sitting here seeing this entire thing roll like a movie in my head. Now, for someone to be able to do that for me, they have to be exceptional. And Kris is, because she set the stage. It was a very simple setting. It was a chair with a couple of props. It was Kris in a pair of shorts and tennis shoes and a T-shirt. And it was a very simple setting. And it was all about a day at the gym. And the thing that stuck with me, besides the steam room with the guy in the hat, you have to tell him that one.
Oh, God.
The thing that stuck with me was, and I'm setting this because I want her to tell it. And she will be very descriptive. But imagine that you're sitting down on a chair and you found the hand weights that you want to use, and there's a person in front of you on, and I can't remember if it was a bicycle or a Stairmaster or whatever it was, but I'm going to turn it over to Kris and let her tell this segment. So pay attention because it is hysterical.
So I sat down at the machine and got my weights already, and there was a woman the machine was directly behind a stair-step machine. And I looked up, and I see the word pink going up and down. Pink, 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 pink. And I'm wondering, okay, why would you have pink stamped on your butt?
Now, let me ask you this. Did that, in its stupidity, put you off to ever wanting to go back to a gym again? I mean, why would anybody put a chair in front of a Stairmaster? I don't understand that.
It wasn't a good place. No, it was a very bad place to have. But, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool gym rat, believe it or not. And I'm still there 3 days a week. So
now you have to tell them about the guy in the steam room too, because that's hysterical.
I don't know what it is about me, whether I have this friendly face or my smile or I don't talk a lot, but every time I walk into that steam room, there was some guy, and it was always a guy. Because the steam room at that time, it wasn't separate. Men and women weren't separate. It was all, men and women together. And so they would look at me and start talking, whether I was responding to them or not. They just kept talking. I called them Chatty Cathy. That's what I ran into in the steam room all the time, Chatty Cathys. And my partner, Jack, said, "No, shouldn't that be Chatty Ken?" And then he started coming into the steam room with me, and he said, "No, Chatty Cathy, you're right." It's like, and the strangest things come out of their mouth.
Oh, some of the things you said was hysterical.
Oh my gosh!
And now she has 2 dogs.
We have 2 dogs. Yes.
And apparently, according to this little blog that I pulled up, it's titled Kris's Bodyguard Service.
Oh, now,
yes. Why? Her dogs are named Benny and JJ.
Yes, Benny and JJ, they're brothers. They're from the same litter. And they're part Australian cattle dogs and possibly part border collie. Guys are really, really smart.
Extremely smart.
Extremely smart. Sometimes it's like, I've discovered I don't have 2 dogs, I have 2 small children who are smart enough to play, let's manipulate the rest of the pack.
Well, I want to know why JJ thinks that he needs a bodyguard.
Well, you see, his brother is laying somewhere up at the top of the stairs. And don't you know that unless someone escorts him, his brother will jump out and beat him up. However, his brother has never, ever, ever beat him up. Ever. he will actually, stand at the bottom of the stairs and bark until you get up and come and say, it's okay, your brother is not here. And then he'll come up the stairs.
See, he's got you trained.
Oh, Lord, yeah, they're kind of spoiled, to say the least.
I understand that. My my Maltese owns me. I don't own him. He owns me.
Yeah.
So I feel your pain. The struggle is real. In fact, he doesn't like thunderstorms, so I had him up in my office chair behind me while I was working today. Well, I got up to go do something, and he sprawled all over the office chair, and I went to sit back down, and I hear, rah, 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 rah. I said, okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah.
I go get something to eat and go sit on the couch, and he sits up in the office chair and gives me the look. Now, I know you've gotten the look.
Oh, yeah, I get all kinds of looks.
And my husband says, Yvonne, he's giving you the look. I said, it'll be okay. He says he wants you to go get him. I said, I'm not going to get him. He can jump down. So
yeah.
I'm sitting there eating, and in a few minutes he figures out, I can jump down. So he jumps down, comes and jumps up on the couch, and before he gets over his corner of the couch, he turns around and has the audacity to give me the look again.
Yep.
So the struggle is real.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The dog is ruined. Now, you also did one. This is hysterical. You did a blog about men and painted nails.
Oh, yes. I have this. There's several things that fascinate me, but fashion and gender. I am fascinated by fashion and gender, and how we just keep recycling it, only we forget,
Uh-huh.
We forget we keep recycling.
This is what you put up. I'm way out of whack with human history on this. The ancient Egyptians and Chinese painted their nails. The Chinese invented nail polish. I didn't know that. By the way, guys, you're out of whack with history, too. The Egyptian and Chinese men also painted their nails. In Egypt, black represented the power color. So the fashion changed, and Kris says a man with black nails owned the power 3,000 years ago. But today, he's just goth. Guys in Babylonia went all out before a battle with curls and nail color. One had to look their best before being slaughtered. I love it.
Yeah.
Nail painting for both men and women continued into the 1800s. Then cowboys and John Wayne arrived. Men and painted nails parted the way. Oh, this is too funny.
Yeah.
I don't have toenail art either. I do good like you. I've worked with my horses and slopped manure and cleaned out barns. So who has time for nails?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. When you are doing your impersonations, like you said, you had to figure out how to do the anteater. And you've done a cat, a mad woman.
Yes.
I do that on a daily basis, but some people think that it's a real me. How do you get into the mindset of that character? Because I know when you do audiobooks for authors, one person generally does the entire book and has to change their voice so that they don't even sound like the other people within the characterizations of the book. How do you do that successfully?
I usually give myself an overall, I'm thinking of the character in a visual manner. and sort of, what they look like. What they look like. I find that helps me as an actor when I'm, voicing multiple characters. Just what they look like. Sometimes it's just a character. When I look at the description, it brings someone else to mind, and I think of that someone else. Like I recently did on my podcast, I was voicing a 4-part series, a satire on Cinderella.
Ooh.
And she had a fey godmother, but it was a guy.
Okay.
An old guy, no less. So it's like, okay, I just saw old drag queen. It's like
So the fairy godfather came out sounding like, give us a little bit of it, if you can.
Well, all right, Cindy. I don't do miracles. I'm just good with hair and makeup.
That is good. I like that. Do you find it difficult to transition from one character to the other in your audios?
Yeah, that's the hardest part of I find of doing audiobooks when you've got multiple characters is the transition, and then you're also going back to narrator too. So you're going from character to narrator and narrator to character and character to character, and it's hard. It's hard. It's a real challenge.
Do you find yourself having to go back and edit and rework because you have not slipped into the new character and some of the characterizations coming out from the character that you just left?
Generally I find I catch most of my mistakes even with characters at the time I'm doing it. I just realize, no, that wasn't quite right.
So we got to go back and redo.
Yeah. In general, in the audiobooks that I do, even in nonfiction, I find that I catch 90% of my mistakes as I make them. Yeah.
Which do you like doing better, fiction or nonfiction?
Oh boy, I'd say the fiction with characters is I find that a real challenge. I think because I worry about making the characters real enough. Nonfiction, I find nonfiction to be a little easier. Just because I find nonfiction is a little easier for me personally to bring to life. I don't have to worry about. I just have to worry about bringing the text to life and not bringing each character and getting each character just so. But it's extremely. It was extremely satisfying doing that children's book where I had to bring all those animals to life with a specific voice. I think when you complete it, it's a fiction with characters is more satisfying experience. It's a bigger. Whoa! I did this. Woo!
On to the next challenge now, right? Well, and the reason I asked that is because in nonfiction, you're bringing the essence, like you say, the essence of the text and the essence of the person that is speaking, as opposed to in fiction, your desire is to make that character believable and come to life where your audience falls right into the book and relates to it. And I've heard some fiction books that the books were great, but they put me to sleep because the audio was so mundane and not at all exciting. It was this monotone. I'm going, just read the damn book aloud with no characterizations. Come on, people.
Yeah. I've listened to a few of them. Like,
and these were by well-known mainstream authors, but and these voiceover people were award winners. And I'm thinking, award winners for what? Humpty Dumpty?
Wow, that's unusual.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't even finish the audiobook because it was so boring.
Oh, I did run into it. Yeah.
You did run into what?
Went to a nonfiction book that was. I listened to it because it was a well-known narrator, and I'm like, ooh.
I feel the pain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
A good, ladies and gentlemen, this would be a good remedy. Chronic insomnia. Just put the headsets on, close your eyes, and boom, you're out.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
You are gone because in order to do an audio book that engages the reader, one has to be like Kris and have this sense of, I got to drag the reader in verbally as opposed to seeing it on the written page. And that takes a real skill. You've got to really love what you're doing, and you do apparently, because the stuff that you do is hysterical.
Oh, thanks. Well, when I'm doing a book, I'm really, I narrate with interest because I'm interested in what I'm reading, and I need to be engaged in what I'm reading, so that way the listener hopefully isn't engaged.
And that brings up another point. If the narrator is just doing it for a paycheck, it comes through. Yeah. We're opposed if the narrator, like you, are engaged in the book. Boy, I'm going to make this book pop because I see these characters and this dialogue and this back and forth and all this conflict going on, and I know how to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, you really need, as a narrator, you really need to be engaged with the book, and you need to find what you're saying out loud interesting. That's the number one thing that I think about, especially when doing nonfiction.
So in all fairness, would it be correct to say that if somebody asks a narrator to do a book for them and the narrator, A, is not interested in the book, it's not their shtick, and that's okay, or they don't feel like they can do it justice, it's okay to turn that down, not because the book is badly written, but because the narrator can't bring it to life?
Yeah, it's just not a good match. It's really, and I recently took a webinar with the best-known nonfiction narrator, Sean Pratt, and he does. He said, I do that. They may pick me for this book, and I read this book and say, whoa, there's no way. There's no way I can do this. So he regularly turns down books he gets if he does not feel that they're, a good match. And this is he's working for major audiobook publishers. So.
And it has to be a marriage of sorts.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And it's like reading for a part for a movie. It has to, the actor, actress has to be able to be married to that part and bring that part to life in order for it to work. Because I'm going to tell you, I've seen some movies when I'm saying, why the hell did they pick so-and-so? That is not the part for them. God help them.
Yeah.
Love them, but no.
Yeah.
I'm just shaking my head. What idiot thought this up? The Brainiacs in Hollywood. You want to go, really? What were you smoking that day, or taking, or drinking, or no? And then they wonder why the movie flops.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are serious about getting your book narrated, you have to understand that if a narrator turns you down, it is not because your book is bad. It is probably because the narrator does not feel they can do the book justice, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't want to put something out there that's going to put especially somebody like me, to sleep. And I'm the world's worst insomniac, but a bad book on Audible can put me out in 3 seconds or less.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do a shtick on putting people to sleep with audio.
Yeah, it's really important to get the wrong, like you said, a narrator that's not good for a book can turn a good book into a not so good book. So, and I always, even if the author thinks I may be a good match, it's like, I'm going to give you at least the first 5 to 10 minutes. And you listen to that, and then if you're happy with that, then we'll go on. So, yeah.
I can't, I just pulled up another blog of yours because it jumped right out at me. And ladies and gentlemen, the it's called Loaded Bratwurst. Really?
Oh, that's another of my. I am fascinated with stupid crime.
Oh my word! Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to read this a little bit because I saw it and I went, "What the hell is she talking about?" And she goes, "Gun control advocates are hailing the new law just passed as a major step in gun violence control in America. Since 2015, the last 20 years, been escalating gun violence in the U.S. Now, in 2035, all citizens fear for their lives when they walk out the door. It's called A Possible Future for Gun Control. No, y'all haven't slept through the last 40-some-odd years. The law's chances seemed slim last month when the Republicans and Libertarians staged a sausage fest on the floor of the House. But then a running gun battle between police and convenience store robbers armed with AK-47s on the mall took a piece of Lincoln's nose off at the Lincoln Memorial. Public outrage then fueled passage of the bill and a signature by the president. The details of the bill are a bit sketchy at this point. Sausage as a weapon is new to the U.S. It's typically mostly in Germany and Austria. The bill supposedly enacts sweeping gun reforms, but enforcement remains a big question. Local police may be expected to take the lead. Most say they're familiar with the type of sausage to be handed out and how to use them. The main reform targets anyone with anger management issues, including road rage and the slightly kooky. Anyone applying for a gun permit that falls into these categories during a polygraph test will be issued a sausage instead of a gun. The preferred sausage is a brat, which is American for bratwurst. Jaegers are available for those preferring a harder, leaner sausage. Metal rings on the sausage ends are permitted for defensive purposes and ease of carry. The reforms apply to gun shop owners, gun shows, and online sales. Shows and online sites are not happy about the polygraph test, but most like the smell of sausage and worry a bit about their waistline with that much sausage hanging around. Word out of Germany and Austria indicates car denting likely to increase and more bruises during altercation due to those metal rings. Hand-to-hand with sausage is expected to increase apprehension rate as police need only give their canine officer a whiff of brat for tracking. NRA is considering a new name, National Rifle and Worst Association, better known as NRWA. Where in the world do you come up with this?
That was from reading stupid crime, blotters from all over the world, and coming across, an altercation in Germany, and somebody got mad at where somebody parked, and the only thing they had was bratwurst. And so that's what they use, because guns aren't, Germany doesn't allow, weapons. So, so that's what they use,
Oh, my word.
Into the bratwurst.
That is too funny. That's and when you think about it, though, Kris, that's about it. That makes about as much sense as some of the laws that Congress sits up there and tries to pass every day in their infinite stupidity. Death by bratwurst. Oh, what?
I'm very fond of satire.
Apparently, and satire is very fond of you. You do it very well. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, where this is, it's called Scriggler, Scriggler.
Yes.
And she's hysterical. You have to go on and read these because they... Unfaithful, naughty, and cheat want you. See, it's just the titles. It was something else that came across her desk. Did somebody come across your desk and want to have an affair with you, but they were unfaithful, naughty, and oh my word, y'all just have to go on. It's just you'll fall down laughing. I'm telling you. I'm gonna tell you what. Go ahead.
And Scriggler is a great platform for authors, actually. They regularly put out tweets about authors that are on their site. So, and they promote their authors. So Scriggler is a great platform for them.
I'm going to be writing Scriggler down because I got to go over there because it's hysterical what you find in the oddest places. Like I said, I just went there and said, oh, my word, the woman has lost her mind. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want this woman to come and speak at your business, to do a blog for you, now, understand she's not going to do a dry, put me to sleep, throw dirt in my face blog because, no, gets you nowhere fast. You can't do any better than Kris Keepler because she brings humor. She brings preciseness. She brings continuity. And she brings real life into the mix of business blogs. And then when she does narrations, she can do anything she could probably do a housefly if you needed one. I mean...
Yeah, I could probably come up with something. Yeah,
or a corpse. I mean, come on. The woman's got a plethora of characterizations that she can do. So if you're thinking about having your book narrated, or even a short, do you do short stories too?
Yes, I do short stories too. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, have I got some short stories for you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, contact her. And I'm going to let her tell you in a few minutes. No, y'all cannot go look her up now. Just stay right there. You're going to miss something. Contact her because you will not be sorry. The woman has a zest for life that it comes through in this interview. I can't wait to bring her back because I know she's going to have some more Scriggler stories that we're going to roll on the floor, and she's going to have some more people doing stair-stepping in front of her at the gym or in the pool, or you're going to have more stories. I know you are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, in the last few minutes of this interview, what advice do you have someone? Because this is even more hard to break into, I think, than the publishing industry or even acting itself. How would you advise someone that wanted to do voiceovers?
The first thing is to have a love of using your voice. I started out actually performing as a singer, and I started out in junior high. I was in choir, and then through high school, and then into college, and then I started taking voice lessons, and I like using my voice and, singing, and it just sort of segued into using it, to narrate audiobooks, to narrate e-learning, to narrate video sales letters. But I think you really need to love to use your voice, and then you want to learn how to use it correctly. That's you really have to, because it's voiceovers. It's tough.
Yeah,
it's really tough. So, and you have to have a bit of a technical bent too, because I had to. Not only did I have to learn to use my singing voice, and I use my singing voice quite a bit. I often warm up for narration by singing, and it's that integrated into using, your voice and voiceover. But I had to teach myself how to edit. I had to learn how to use an editing program, had to learn how to use a mic correctly. So there's a lot of training there too. So loving, using your voice and then getting training.
Well, if someone, and I know that people are going to want to do this, when someone wants to find you to hire your services, where would they find you?
I have a website, KrisKeepler.com, and I have a WordPress blog, Does This Happen to You? I have a podcast, Does This Happen to You? And I'm on Twitter at KrisKKAria. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn.
In fact, I think that's how we hooked up.
Yeah, that may be, yeah. So, and I'm also out on acx.com, which is the clearinghouse for authors and publishers looking to turn books into audiobooks. And I'm out there. You can listen to, can look at all the different projects I've done out there. I think it's 12 now. And contact me that way too. So lots of different ways.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't go get her before she gets too rich and famous and doesn't have time for you, it's your own fault. I'm going to tell you, it's your own fault. Because this woman is she's going places. Anybody that can do satire like her and then do voiceovers like she does, no, she's not going to be unknown. She is the world's best kept secret right now, and it's not going to be that way for long, because she's going to explode. And then we're going to say, yeah, we knew her when we heard her on Yvonne's show.
Thank you. Thank you for the support.
You are very welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is getting short, and I wanted to let you know that the guest that we had coming on last night, and this is why I get irritated at publishers, because all of a sudden it was a conflict of interest. I know it wasn't her fault, but the publisher said it was a conflict of her interest for her to come onto my show to promote her book. This is why I'm an indie author. Because this is a platform for authors to shine. And why the publisher said it was a conflict of interest, I have no idea. But bless her heart, she's not going to be able to come. So we are dropping back and punting I have another young lady. Her name is Deborah Fair, and she has done an anthology. It's her first anthology, and she will be on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So I want you to welcome her. Next Wednesday will be the only show that I will have for the week because I will be out of town until Sunday. But the following week, we will start again full bore with 4 shows, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So y'all join us. Go and look up Kris Keepler because you will not be sorry. She's an amazing woman. You'll laugh so hard you'll cry. You might even wet your pants or time or two. Just saying. I'm just saying. It happens. Nothing to be ashamed of. It happens. So I want to thank you, Miss Kris, and by all means, don't hang up, but sometimes I run out of time before I get to thank my guests. I want to thank you so much for the privilege of you coming on the show and being my guest tonight and making us laugh. I don't think we've laughed enough this week.
Oh, well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
And ladies and gentlemen, y'all all know that I say several things when I close my show because I believe in these things. One of them is, and I'm sure Kris will agree with me, that you can't just feel special because a feeling is fleeting. You have to be special. And in being special, you have to get in front of the herd, not become part of the herd. Think about that. Also, one day you'll be just a memory for some people. Do your best to be a good one. Think about that one. And one that I really, really like that I said several times last night is the difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. Now, I'm going to repeat it again, ladies and gentlemen, because I firmly believe in this. Your past does not define you. The only thing that defines you is what you do. So the difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. Your past is only a defining moment. It does not define who you are. Then what I always like to say is, you want to achieve greatness, and I'm sure Kris will agree with me on this one as well. If you want to achieve greatness, would you stop asking permission? Because nobody's going to give it to you, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, because they get envious, and haters are going to hate. They want to hold you back because they haven't made up their mind they want to achieve greatness. So if you want to achieve greatness, stop asking permission. Just go out and do it. Be surprised at what you can accomplish. Am I right, Kris?
Yes, that is true. Very true.
So your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. And Kris has got one hell of a business card. She is so infectious. I just love this woman. How you leave others feeling after having had an experience with you, ladies and gentlemen, that becomes your trademark. And as I always say on this show, what we sell, the service we provide, and what we do is not our brand. We are the brand. And how we leave people after being around us, that is our trademark. That's how people will remember us. Kris, would that also be a fair statement?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, until tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, remember this. We are only on this earth for a short while. And in the grand scheme of things, it is really just a blink of an eye. While we're on this earth, let's be the change. The change comes from within us. It does not come from within anyone else. We are the change. And if we choose to be the change, then not only do we talk the talk, but then we are obligated to walk the walk. So just remember that. Y'all know how I feel about talking the talk. Talk is the cheapest commodity on the market. Again, thank you all for joining us tonight on Off the Chain. I am your host, Yvonne Mason, with my guest, voiceover artist Kris Keepler, with the most infectious laugh I've ever heard in my life, and I absolutely adore her. She makes me smile inside and out. We are both so grateful and happy that you have decided to join us and spend an hour with us. And until tomorrow night, this is Yvonne and Kris, and we are saying good night.
Thanks so much. It was a blast.
You are so welcome. I can't wait for you to come back. It will be. You will be coming back. That is for sure.
Oh, great.
So hold on and when it goes off the air, I want to tell you something.
Okay.
So we're off the air, but whatever we say is going to show up in our archives. But I did want to remind you that I will post this up as soon as it goes up and tag you in it. And then tomorrow when I post it in all the podcasts, I'll also tag you in all those. Take this and use it as a recruiting tool and an advertising tool for yourself.
Oh, great. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, that's my gift to all of my guests because I believe in giving them a hand up and watching them succeed because y'all are only as successful as I help you to be. And I'm only as successful as I help y'all to be. So I want y'all to be very successful.
Yeah, and we want you to be successful, too.
Oh, honey, we're getting there. It's a group, it's a tribe effort.
Yes, yeah.
It's a tribe effort. So I thank you again for spending an hour with me and for taking an hour out of your busy day and sitting here and chatting with me. And after the first of the year, I want to bring you back because I know by then you'll have more hysterical blogs to talk about and funny things that have happened to you. And maybe by then you'll have some new audiobooks out.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, my darling. With that, I will say thank you again, and I will send you some dates and see how they work for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
Before you lies a beautiful meadow. In that meadow, Progressive Direct has placed its auto insurance rates alongside those of competitors. You select the lowest rate and feel a great sense of calm. A great sense of...
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates so you can rest easy. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.